Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel. For 6 things we learnt, turn the bloody thing off. From Chelsea 1, Brentford 4. It is, first of all, if we look at Chelsea's home record in the past 20 years, it's a bit of a fluke result. We very rarely get beat at home. We very rarely concede 4 at home, let alone to a newly promoted side. However, as bitter as that may sound, and I will sound like that for the majority of this video, congratulations to Brentford, who not only came here today and had a brilliant tactical approach which led them to scoring 4 very good goals. The 4th one's a great finish, but that one was probably the only one where the ball kind of just kindly falls to a Brentford player and they score. The rest of the goals that they scored were brilliantly worked. They fought very hard. They pressed Chelsea and they came here to win. They didn't come here to try and soak up pressure and then just block things at the back and deal with 3 at the back and everything else. They came here to play and to win. And unfortunately, on a day like this, as a result of everything else that's going on at Chelsea Football Club right now, I am left in no other position but to really analyse a 4-1 home defeat straight after, regardless of whether it's Liverpool, Man City come to the bridge and beat us 4-1. That hurts. That means I'm sat here or stood here, which I'm glad I decided to stand. But to lose like that to Brentford, you have to really contextualise this entire thing. And I'm thinking about it, as Rudiger scored, I'm buzzing. I'm tweeting about giving him £1 million a week because he's that good. Within a couple of minutes of finishing a tweet, we're 2-1 down. And when you really look at what Chelsea have been doing in recent weeks, it's been, with everything going on, it's been a bit like a game of chess where all of a sudden, you're the robot. You're the one when you're playing on your phone and you're against the computer. And over again, you can predict the same moves. For Chelsea, we've kind of been that robot where we're winning games not because we're playing beautiful, free-flowing football like we were at the start of the season, but because we've got world-class players, a world-class manager, and when you match up 2 teams against one another 9 times out of 10, Chelsea have the better team. In that sense, we've been winning for that reason. But then when you stop playing against the computer, and then all of a sudden, you get the opponent who's absolutely fighting as if this is a cup final and it's the last game they're going to play in their lives, and then they convert everything, capitalise on errors, and we're absolutely null and void, blunt in front of goal. And all of a sudden, it's like turning up to play a game of FIFA and move away from the chess analogy. You play your first game of FIFA against world class and you win 6-0. That's pretty much what Brentford have come and done today. And for Chelsea, it would be incredibly easy for every single one of us here right now, myself as the guy recording this, you as the one listening and then maybe commenting down below, please let me know how you feel. But it would be so easy for us to look at everything today, add on all of the other things going on that we're not happy about, all of the other ambiguous things that are happening off the field and be like, Chelsea are done. Chelsea are doomed. And I'm going to try my absolute best here to not be that guy. But again, in results like this, first of all, we praise the opponents. This is football. Things like this do happen once in a while. We saw it against West Brom. We've seen it again today. 4-1, beaten by a huge margin at home. But Brentford were fantastic. But the owner situation is box number 1, and it's a red box. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about this because I am personally not in the know enough to be able to say that, the banners we made for the hashtag no to rickets, we all organised the protest outside the stadium. The numbers might not have been the same, from what I understand, as what it was for the Super League. But there were still Chelsea fans there, fan-driven, trying to explain what we want for our club. And all the things that we're seeing off the field, all of the stories we're reading about the Ricketts actually being a preferred bidder, every time something goes wrong in this kind of nature on the field, it has to come back to what is going on off the pitch. Bringing it back to that chess game and that random amateur FIFA player beating world class analogy. We have been doing insanely well considering the situation, which is kind of like papered over the cracks, to use a very typical footballing term for fans, because we can be upset about the owner situation. We can have whatever political view about it we want. We can have whatever preferred bidder view about it as we like. And the longer it goes on, where we're getting banners banned from entering Stamford Bridge because fans don't have that freedom of voice. All of this energy, and even though I'm not blaming the footballing spectacle today entirely on that, all of the energy around the club, around the players, it is going to come and bite us once in a while. And today's one of those days where the 50-50 coin flip goes against us in every sense, and not for bad decisions, but because Brentford were so much better than us. That's why. The longer the owner situation remains unsolved, and I think the more that fans are opposing what is supposedly the preferred bidder, it's going to get messy. It's going to be so hard to manage all of this stuff going on right now at Chelsea. But I've not really spoke about the game, and I have to speak about the game because that's what 6 things we learned is. So box number 2 is a red for Alonso. And again, I could have given the majority of the team a red box today, but also I do want to hold on to that caveat, which is results like this will happen the more that Chelsea are in the mire, the more we're in the mud. But Alonso, he was one of the first players to come off. First half, he gives the ball away in appalling positions where, again, we say it in the first half, if it was a team better than Brentford, we get punished and we concede. But you go in at half-time at 0-0, Alonso keeps giving the ball away, keeps getting stuck in defensive areas. And you're just thinking, like, surely Thomas Tuchel has to change this at half-time while the game is still tangibly there for us to win. But no, Alonso comes off, Reece James comes on the left, where he is not as effective as he is on the right. Chelsea don't create anything all day. Reece playing on the right would be fantastic because we always know we're going to create with Reece on the right. Reece on the left, he has to think about defensive positioning before he bombs forward, starts creating for Chelsea. So Alonso's just not good enough on a consistent enough basis. And sticking with that left side, box number 3 is a red for Timo Werner. Even when the game was at 0-0, which is the time that we analyse Werner's performance, Timo Werner's not the reason why Chelsea conceded 4 goals. Even in the first half, Timo Werner was actually doing well in defensive positions, okay? But I don't know about you lot, and please let me know about this in the comments because I know this is probably one of the most, like, I'm trying to hold it together to keep it, like, not as aggressively emotional because I don't care about Arsenal, City, Liverpool fans coming to the channel to see me go mad. That's not what this is about. I'm a Chelsea fan and I understand where we're at. But Timo Werner seems like a passenger. It looks as though he spends half an hour being like, I'm in the starting 11? Do I deserve this? I don't know. And he doesn't do anything when he's on the ball. When he's on the ball, every defender goes directly in at him because he's not physical enough to be able to withhold the tackle. He doesn't have these little touches that can drift past the player and then the ball moves and then he moves and next thing you know, a player's on the floor. Ziyech's got that. Mason Mount's got that. Even Lukaku has that with the turn of shoulder and strength at times as well. But I think Timo Werner, this is one of those performances where, again, because we lose, it's very easy to over-exaggerate how bad something was. But he didn't do anything apart from make a couple of blocks in defensive areas, but he's a striker. And he didn't do any of that well at all. But I do want to move into the one green of the day because Tony Rudiger's goal, by the way, for anybody who's a Chelsea fan who, like me, for the past 2 weeks during an international break, the whole footballing thing has been horrible. Not only is there no matches to watch, but with all the stuff we've got to deal with as well, with everything going on with the club, with the shortlist still having the flipping rickets idiots involved. We needed a moment like Rudiger's magic, not just for our own sanities, but because the game needed it. And Tony Rudiger scores one of the goals of the season, but it will go down, and he will go down today, by the way, as probably the most underappreciated Chelsea player who put in a solid display we could ever imagine. Defensively, not brilliant, no one was. But Rudiger was the only one popping off shots. One of them goes in the back of the net off the post, but like, we were relying on this. Tony Rudiger is the man who runs over to Tuchel, gives him a big bloody hug, and by the way, that for me is the biggest sign of anything in the past few months that this guy might actually sign a new deal if there's any flipping silver lining for this. The goal, insane, world class. The celebration, even more of a reason for us fans to take something good away from this, by the way. Something, that grain of salt, is maybe Rudiger might actually stay. Because he looks bloody happy with the manager. He looked bloody happy with the goal. He fights for Chelsea. And he was basically, if we'd have had 11 Rudigers today, we would have won 4-1. But we didn't. We move into box number 5. Keeping it football, away from politics, away from ownership. This is a dangerous result for Chelsea when it comes to the race for the top 4. At this point in the season, after today, we've got 9 games left. We look at the fixtures. We've got a game against Arsenal. We've got a game against Man United. We look at Brentford on paper, at home, and believe it's 3 points. They've won 2 of their last 11 games before this today. They blow us away. And with results like this, with Arsenal continuously catching up, with United having some quality players and you never know what run they're going to go on, with Antonio Conte getting the best out of Harry Kane at Spurs, Chelsea need to be careful here that this result remains like it was when we lost to West Brom at home. It cannot, and all of the reasons that I'm talking about, which is why I kind of don't get so mad from a 11 versus 11 footballing sense, because I really understand how this works psychologically, the impact it has. And Brentford was still brilliant, don't get me wrong. But we've got to be careful here. We've got to make sure Real Madrid in 3 more days in a Champions League quarter-final. This game has to be eliminated from the memory. We need to focus on the little things that we did wrong and then do something else. The back 4, no. I do not want to see that again between now and the end of the season. I want to win a Champions League and an FA Cup and finish top 4. Back 4 doesn't work. We don't create anything. There are too many gaps when we've got players coming back from Brazil, players coming back from the US. Thiago Silva today, not his best ever game. Christian Pulisic in wonderful form, but he arrived a day ago, so he can't play. So we've got Timo Werner on the left, which was void. Alonso, void. Half the pitch was useless. We've got to be careful that this doesn't escalate into anything more. I finish on a yellow, and like I said, as much as we can praise Brentford, as much as I can blame the off the field everything going on at Chelsea right now, which, no matter what anyone wants to say, has a huge impact. I want to see this as a fluke result. And as long as it is a fluke result, we can forget about this game. We cannot look at the footballing elements where we were clearly second best, where Thomas Tuchel got it wrong with the formation. Yes, players have played a lot of international minutes, and there's obviously restrictions in that way where we don't want to risk players with Real Madrid come in, beaten by a better team, chaos off the field. Oh, Chelsea fans, I'm going to wrap this up here before I start digging deeper into like different avenues of how we approach this. But rest assured, subscribe to GBFC, turn on notifications so that you don't miss the upcoming content where I'm going to dig into why this result happened and why all of these external factors are becoming, when something like this comes up that seems a fluke, I'm also not surprised. But anyway, thank you for watching. If you somehow enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Subscribe if you are new. Come on, you Blues.